What's up, people of the internet? I'm Clinton Jeff from unleashthephones.com, and today we're going to talk about the Micromax Canvas HD. It's a new phablet from Indian brand Micromax, and it's actually not that bad. Now, if you haven't heard of Micromax, it's actually pretty okay because it's a new company that had started up about 3 years ago, I assume, and since then they've been pretty popular here in India, mostly because they have one of the first dual SIM devices out there that ran Android, and since then they've been pretty quick to keep up with the latest trends. And in this case, they released a couple budget phablet phones under the Canvas series, and this phone is their latest entry in the Canvas series of devices. The reason why it's the Canvas HD is because it has a 720p screen, which is pretty hard to get at its price range right now. The Micromax Canvas HD measures 144 by 74 by 10.7 millimeters and weighs in at about 156 grams. It's basically a usual phablet size, but it's just a little bit larger than the HTC Butterfly and the Samsung Galaxy Grand. Even though it's mostly plastic in terms of build quality, it's actually not that bad. It feels really comfortable in your hand and pretty decent. I would say it's probably the best device Micromax has built so far, for what it's worth. It's pretty comfortable to use, even though it's a little large because it is a phablet after all. The design though is pretty much your usual giant touchscreen phone. You have a rectangular slab of glass with plastic and curved edges and a metallic trim along the edges to provide more strength to the body of the device. But let's get to the most exciting part of the Micromax Canvas HD, the screen. You have a 5-inch capacitive touchscreen IPS LCD with 16 million colors and at 720 by 1280 pixel resolution, which means you get a pixel density of about 294 ppi. As a result, text and details are pretty sharp, and the 720p resolution looks great on a screen this large. Colors are nice and true, but black colors aren't that deep. It is an LCD after all. In terms of brightness, the display is pretty bright even outdoors in sunlight. So that being said, colors tend to wash off even at mild viewing angles, so that is a bit of an issue. You basically have to look at the screen straight on. But that being said, it's still pretty awesome that you get a screen of this quality for the price. Below the screen, you have the usual Android capacitive touchscreens for menu, home, and back. Above the display, you have the centrally located earpiece with a tiny notification light hidden towards the right side and a front-facing 2-megapixel camera for video call. On the left side, you have the low and volume key, which is easy enough to use. At the top, you have the usual standard 3.5mm audio jack for headphones and a micro USB port to charge and connect the device. At the bottom, you have the tiny pinhole for the microphone, and on the right side, you have the screen lock and power button that is perfectly located for your thumb to use. The back panel is removable. It has a funny glossy finish which is a little slippery and prone to catching fingerprints. It's not very noticeable on the white color version of the phone though, but it is something that bugs you because you kinda can see all the fingerprints and marks at the back. Underneath the removable back panel, you have space for dual SIM cards and a micro SD card slot and a 2000 mAh battery. In terms of hardware, the Micromax Canvas HD has a quad-core 1.2 GHz Cortex A7 MediaTek processor. There's 1 GB of RAM and 4 GB of onboard memory with a micro SD card slot as well. And because it runs a mostly stock version of Android, this means that the UI is really fast and opening up apps, navigation is really quick and smooth as well, with no signs of lag as such. Coming to software, as I did mention, the Micromax Canvas HD does run a mostly stock version of Android 4.1.2 Jelly Bean. There are some minor edits, like the camera UI is a little bit different from the stock Android app. As such, there's no lag between menus and opening up apps is pretty quick. One thing that does worry me though is that I don't know if the Micromax Canvas HD will get any more updates. Micromax hasn't actually officially commented on that, and it would be nice if this device does get Android 4.2. So yeah, basically apart from that, it's your usual Android experience with Jelly Bean. There are some minor edits for the dual SIM card. Coming to media, you have the usual Android gallery and video player and the usual music player as well. There's no support for DivX or Xvid out of the box, so you'll have to install an app from the Google Play Store. One thing most people will like though is that the loudspeaker is really loud on this, and there's also an integrated FM radio as well. Coming to the camera, you have an 8-megapixel camera with autofocus and dual LED flash. Image quality is decent. You have accurate colors and contrast. Details can be a little poor. The lower the light, the worse the noise. For this price range, it's actually pretty much what you'd expect. We have a couple camera samples on the blog, so do check out the link at the end of the review. Coming to battery life, the Micromax Canvas HD is powered by a 2000 mAh battery. Considering this is a quad-core phone with a 5-inch screen, I was a little bit worried about how long it will last, but actually the battery lasts just fine comfortably throughout an entire workday. To conclude, no matter which way I look at it, the Canvas HD is actually a pretty good deal. You get an almost pure Google experience, a 5-inch screen at 720p resolution, which is pretty good, an okay camera, and it's basically really fast, and the battery life is also pretty good. What's not to like? The only real competition it has is the Samsung Galaxy Grand, which is a little bit more expensive and a little bit bigger, as you can see, but the screen resolution isn't as good on the Galaxy Grand as it is on the Micromax Canvas HD. But hey, don't just take my word for it. Check out our detailed review over on unleashthephones.com. And as always, if you guys have any questions, do let me know right in the comment section below. And that's about it, guys. As always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because that's the cool thing to do. And yeah, that's about it.